Welcome to the Process Podcast.
From new agent to broker owner.
My name is Travis McClure. This is my co-host, Preston Guyton. Welcome to the Process Podcast. My name is Travis McClure and my co-host, Preston Guyton. Preston, how you doing today?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing excellent. Preston, did you get up at 4 a.m. and knock out a workout today?
Of course. Getting ready for that half marathon I committed to that I'm still not happy I committed to.
We're going to start calling you Preston Goggins by the end of that.
Exactly.
And we have an incredible guest with us today. Joel, go ahead and introduce yourself, joining us from the Charlotte market.
Oh yeah, my name is Joel Hargett. Like Travis said, I'm from the Charlotte market, North Carolina and South Carolina license. Just living it up in the Carolinas.
And tell us about yourself, Joel. Tell us who you are, how you got to real estate, all that good stuff.
Yeah, well, so I am married with 3 kids. It'll be 10 years of marriage this month, actually. So I'm super excited. Met in college, started just knocking out kids. And I went through a bunch of different roles. I'll be honest. I guess I'll go back to when my wife and I first met, because that'll play into it. We met in college, had our first kid in college, and we were like, well, shoot, we just got to go ahead and grow up. So actually ended up getting straight A's as soon as my kid was born, because it was kind of like a motivating factor, like, yo, I got to get it done. So straight A's from having a kid on finishing college. Wife graduated with a dual major, which that was awesome. But that kind of led me into my first job, which was a place called Granger Industrial Supply. Mm-hmm. They're a sales company. It's like the Home Depot of businesses. So you go out, meet different people, try to sell them whatever they need from a business supply standpoint. After that, I got into a couple of fitness roles. So I was a fitness coach. I was a CrossFit trainer, personal coach, had my NASM certification, CrossFit certification, all that fun stuff. And then I had a friend who I was coaching. He was a police officer. He was like, hey, why don't you come do a ride along with me? And I was like, all right. Did a ride along, had an amazing time, got into some fun stuff, and I was pretty much sold from there, became a cop, and then loved it, was able to help out people, but I realized there was not enough family time whatsoever. And, like I said, had 3 kids, and not having family time was a non-negotiable for me. That's something that my wife didn't sign up for, obviously. So, just switched into real estate, and that's where I'm at now.
That's I think a really interesting point to make, Joel. A lot of agents come to this industry looking for that flexible schedule, right? Looking for hey, I want to be able to spend more time with my family, and leverage allows you to do that, right? Leveraging your business. And you seem like a guy, obviously you balance that really well. You have a great real estate business. Talk about that a little bit. What helps you leverage that where you can run a great business, but you can also have a great life in your family as well?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I would say, one of the biggest things that has helped me out is I feel like I'm a pretty observant person, and I saw very early that there's real estate agents who are crushing it, like killing it, but no family time. And then I saw real estate agents who were still crushing it, but on their social media, I'm seeing them play golf with their friends. I'm seeing them hang out with their families. And I was like, you know what? Let me get aligned with these individuals who are at a further level than I am and see what they're doing right. So one thing that helped me out was I have a coach who pretty much has a life similar to how I'm trying to attain. The people who I'm around, we are about business, but family comes before their business. So I'm always trying to hang around people who have those similar values. And then from, I guess, a practical standpoint, the leverage, which you talked about, I try to make sure the agents that I'm around are ones that can treat their business like a business and not a hobby. Mm-hmm. So if I see somebody who needs some more business, but I know they treat their business like a business, I'll easily co-broker something with them. So, they can get the business, they can get the reps, And then I have the family time. Yes, I take a little bit of a hit on the financial side, but I'd much rather spend that time with my family and help out somebody at the same time. So for me, it's just leveraging my relationships and trying to add value for people.
That's a good point. I mean, it's funny. Preston and I talk about that all the time. And our team, our leadership team, we're all like-minded individuals. We have like a group chat at 4 a.m. We're all texting each other, make sure we're up, getting
I
our
love
fitness in, talking about the things that we're moving forward in a day. And I think that's so important. I say all the time, I say it to my stepchildren, I say it to my fiance, I say, you're an average of the people you spend the most time with, right?
Mhm.
So you got to be very careful about the circles that you choose, right? For that reason. Talk about your business a little bit, Joel, if you don't mind. What would you say? I'll ask this in a way. What would you say is like your most dollar productive activity you do through the course of a day? Like what's the secret sauce? If I'm a new agent and I'm listening to this, what's the secret sauce, Joel?
Oh man. Well, I would say the secret sauce for me, obviously there's a bunch of different lead generation things, but for me, it's just staying in front of my sphere of influence. And something that my coach taught me, and I got to give him a shout out because this is his method. I don't want to claim it for myself. His name is Hank Avink. It's something called 50, 25, and 1. So basically what that is every single day, you want to do 50 touches, and that could be like a social media anything like that. Then you want to have 20 messages to people like for their like on their wall or on a picture that they say like, hey, good job, let's go, something just inspiring. Then you want to have 5 messages to people, so slide in the DMs, send a message to them, just check in, see how they're doing. And then you want to have 1 impactful conversation where a month from now you and that person can look back and you're like, man, I remember what we talked about. I remember the value that they brought. So that's a way that I stay in front of my sphere of influence. And I do that just because it's kind of like, you always want to stay top of mind, even if you're not there. So, if you ask somebody, what's a soda brand? Most of the time, they're either going to say Coca-Cola or Pepsi. You always want to try to own that real estate in their mind.
Mhm.
So when you're not there and someone brings up real estate, they're going to be like, oh man, Joel does real estate. Let me send somebody your way. And that's happened to me more times than not. Like now it's just that referral business because you're always trying to stay top of mind.
Yeah, and that's one big thing to focus on as well. Like you said, SOI. I mean, a lot of agents, and you see all the stats all the time, 85% of the people that buy from a real estate agent buy from somebody else the next time. And then those same people that did that, if you interview them right after it happened, 85% of them, 90% of them say they would have used that agent again. So I think that's just salespeople in general. Instead of focused on that past client, the one that should be the easy sale, they jump on to the next sale, and then the thrill, the kill. I guess in sales, a lot of people tend to do that, and really the easiest person to close is the one you closed before.
Exactly, that's true.
Yeah, Jared James, real estate coach, he always called it the sideways funnel. You take a lead funnel, you turn it on the side, and that's like the people going to the transaction. The skinny part of the funnel would be where you close, but then there's this whole other part of the funnel after the transaction, right? There's like if you put another funnel on the back end, then it's all those referral deals and the houses they may buy in the future and all that good stuff. And what I loved about, and Preston wrote it down, I love that he did 50, 25, 1, right? It's super simple. I feel like real estate agents always try to like make things really complicated for themselves and these like crazy programs to stay in front of people. To me, how much time do you think that consumes in your day if you had to put a time frame on that?
Man, honestly, not long. Like if the whole 50, 20, the 5 part, that is maybe 30 minutes tops. The 1 just depends on how deep we get into the conversation, but that other part, easy.
Yeah, super simple.
So you're taking care of 1 right here.
Exactly. I love it. This is a 2 for 1 right here.
So what is your, like, one thing for us that's big for us is the morning kind of routine, and I have 3 kids as well. So I think we're a lot alike, and, family's super important to me. One thing I always say, family time for me is non-negotiable. I'll never miss a basketball game. I'll never miss my daughter singing. I'll never miss a golf match. So that's part of the reason why every day I wake up at 4 a.m. because, it's, and sometimes I wake up at 4 a.m. Well, a lot of times I wake up at 4 a.m. and I'm drinking coffee. I'm like, I feels like Groundhog's Day. I'm doing the exact same thing I've done for the last 6 months, year, or whatever. What does your morning routine look like? I mean, that's why I wake up at 4, I do computer work because nobody's awake yet. My kids are all sleeping. My wife is sleeping. And then I'll work out with my wife at 6. And then now I'm starting to run more because I signed up for a half marathon. I don't know what I was thinking.
People you hang around.
Yeah, exactly. But the whole reason in that for me, like getting up at 4 a.m. because I don't want to work past 4, 4 in the afternoon, my kids are out of school if they're in school. In the summertime, it allows me to maybe take early afternoons off to go to the beach or whatever. So what does your morning routine look like? Is it pretty consistent?
Oh yeah. So my morning routine is pretty similar to yours. So I wake up at 4 a.m. I already have my coffee kind of like made from the day before. So it's already, I guess, preset with the alarm. So that goes off around 4:05 to start brewing. So that gives me enough time to wake up, brush my teeth, wash my face. Then I go downstairs. I put in my my earpods, listen to a couple of gospel songs. Then I try to listen to a sermon on 1.5 speed, and then I take notes on that. Then I'll usually finish that up around 5:15. 5:15 to 6:15, I'm in my garage working out. And then school just ended because my wife's a teacher. But before then I would help her get ready for work from 6:15 to 7. And then from 7 to 8, I would take. Sorry, that's my Alexa. Kids ask stuff. But
Yeah.
from 7 to 8.
We won't edit that out.
Yeah, we're leaving that.
That's awesome for sure.
That's the natural life of it.
It makes you look human. That's what I love about it.
Right. So one of my 3 kids. But yeah, from 7 to 8, then I would get them ready for school, drive them to school, and then that's when I would start like my real estate day right after 8 o'clock. And again, kind of the same thing for me. If I wake up at 4, that's my time. No one is either A, gonna bother me at 4 a.m. or B, if they send me a message about real estate or business, they're usually not expecting a call or a text back that early. So I can kind of push it off until later on in the day.
Little freeze on my part there. That will edit out.
No, we're not editing that out either.
So it's no stranger that the real estate market has changed a little bit, right? In the past month, 2 months, little more challenging than it was maybe 6 months ago. What would you say for you in the Charlotte market right now? What's the biggest challenge that you're having right now in your market?
I would say the biggest challenge, and I mean, this is something that's maybe something easily that I can overcome, but it's challenging to me to tell another grown person that, hey, you can't afford this right now. That really just kind of hurts because I've been talking to some people for a year, 2 years, and they've been putting off getting a home. And now they're coming around like, hey, I want to buy this home. And it's like, we got to bring back some expectations from the expectations maybe they had a year or 2 ago. So honestly, that's just the hardest part because of the interest rates.
Are you seeing a lot of people move into the city, or are you seeing a lot of people move towards like the Rock Hill area outside of Charlotte? I mean, that you're kind of south of Charlotte, correct? Like
that is correct. I'm about 10 minutes from South Carolina line.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I've been seeing honestly, I've been seeing a mixture. The people who, I guess, so the way I see it kind of is if you bought a home before, this may be your second home, third home, you built up all that equity so you can continue to move around in the actual city of Charlotte. A lot of people who are buying their first homes, they're getting pushed out a little bit further to the outskirts. And I'm talking about, Kannapolis, Concord, Harrisburg, Gastonia, places like that. So I am seeing people getting pushed out, but mainly because of budget.
Okay.
So what are you doing differently in your business now, Joel, that you would say that maybe you didn't have to do 6 months ago? Or are you just stay in the path and doing what you do every single day? Are you doubling down on anything, I guess is my question, or because I know here we've put a huge emphasis on with our agents that now you have to prospect more. You have to have more conversations because not that real estate was easy 6 months ago, but people were basically coming to you and saying, "Hey, I want to do something." Now you got to kind of find people a little more than you did 6 months ago.
Yeah. No, so I think the thing that I'm working on, and again, this is something that comes from my coach, which I'm sure a bunch of coaches tell people, is, find that 10% that's making, the 90% or whatever, and double down on that. So my 10% is my sphere of influence and farming my neighborhood. So now I'm just doubling down on those things for sure.
So what neighborhoods, I mean, what area are you mainly in right now as far as focused on?
Yeah, so I am Southwest Charlotte.
Okay.
So that's like kind of like the Still Creek area,
Yeah.
that whole bubble.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know we've had some referrals we've sent to Mooresville, and you're like, that's a little bit too far.
Yeah, that's a little
How-
drop sometimes.
How far is Mooresville from where you're at?
Oh man. If
Like,
there's no
depends on
traffic,
right?
no traffic, probably about 50 minutes or so. If we're hitting
Okay.
traffic, probably an hour 15, hour 30.
Yeah. So at 4 a.m. there's no traffic.
Yeah, 4 a.m. We're golden, man.
So Joel, you're an easy home search partner, referral partner. Talk about that a little bit. How's that experience been with that company in terms of receiving referrals, working that business? How'd that even happen? How do you and Preston even meet each other?
Man, that's actually awesome. Well, first off, it's been awesome. But second, the way I kind of met Preston was through a mutual friend, a guy named Brandon Duncan. He is out, I think he's with Keller Williams now in like the Raleigh-Durham area. And Brandon Duncan, he is my fraternity brother. We crossed the fraternity at the same time. Great guy, hilarious guy. And we've always, kept in contact, especially because our lives are similar. He's married, he has a wife, he's in real estate. So we're talking, and he's like, man, you got to meet this guy named Preston. He's a great guy. He's brilliant. Basically, he was really talking him up, and all that stuff came to be true. But that's how I met Preston, through Brandon Duncan just hooking us up.
Yeah, and Brandon's he's a referral partner in Raleigh. So we've been sending him, I think, leads for about 3 months now. Yeah, I think he's got 2 or 3 under contract so far. So it's been good for him.
Yeah.
That's what I like about easy home search, because real estate, and you said it early on in this conversation, Joel, is such a relationship based business, right? In just even relationships with other agents. And you think about, I look as Easy Home Search, one of our companies, grows in other markets, it's through relationships like that, right?
Mhm.
It's and I think that's what's kind of cool. It's like a network of really like-minded. You said it, look for those people that are full-time, are going to get it done when you give them that lead and things like that. Just looking for like-minded agents that are going to take care of that lead and get it to where, to the closing table.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and that's really why we created, is it's to allow people to search without hassle, educate throughout the process, and connect when they're ready to be connected, and connect them to one agent. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's so many lead sources that, they inquire once, you pay for it, they inquire again, somebody else pays for it, inquire again, it goes to 40 different agents. And that's kind of, I've never been a big fan of Zillow, and I've seen through my social media over the years, I've talked about it quite often. But it's just, that's something I wanted to do, something different that allowed people, to search, educate, and connect them to only one agent instead of 5 different people or 6 different people.
And to that point, one of the guys that you connected me to, first time I met him, I went out there and we were talking. And he was like, "Yep, you're my guy. Not using anybody else. You're my guy." And I was like, "All right, I like it. This sounds good."
Yeah.
So yeah, they're definitely connected.
And it's about finding the right people. Like, I think you're the right person in that market. And, sometimes I get a lot of people that reach out to me in different markets, and if they're not the right person, that, they're not getting leads, because, I mean, that's part of it. Like, the last thing I want to do, is send somebody a lead and they drop the ball and, don't take care of them. So, I mean, that's a big part of it.
Exactly.
Joe, I saw on YouTube you made a video which I really liked. It said it was for new agents. Top 3 things to focus on if you're a brand new agent. Talk about that video a little bit. What advice, and we're a show that kind of, we're tailor fit for someone brand new starting in real estate or someone who has bigger aspirations with their business, whether it be a team or even being a broker owner. But what advice would you give somebody starting out in real estate? I'm day one in real estate. What top 3 things would you tell me to do?
Oh yeah. Well, first thing, and I think this is the biggest thing, is don't be a secret agent. So let everybody that you know that you're an agent. So, go through your Facebook, message everybody who's on your friend list, let them know you're a real estate broker. And there's like a script for that. You can go to Instagram, do it, go in your text messages and do it. So that would be the biggest thing. I lost deals because when I first got started, I was nervous to tell everybody. And then I had a friend who like sold a house or bought a house. And I'm thinking like that could have been $15,000 in my pocket, but I was too afraid to tell people that I was an agent. So yeah, biggest thing, let everybody know you're a real estate broker or an agent. Lead generate in some form or fashion almost every single day. And then that last thing is treat real estate like a business. If you treat it like a business, it'll pay you like a business. If you treat it like a hobby, it's going to pay you like a hobby. And I want to be paid like a business. So those are my top.
Absolutely. I love all of that. One thing you just said in that, if you don't mind expand a little bit, you said you were afraid to kind of put it out there. And I watched your YouTube videos. And one thing that was cool to me, like I envy a little bit how vulnerable you are. You talk about a lot of like really personal things and opened up about, and obviously you weren't always like that.
Oh, that's true.
So what made you comfortable to get a little more vulnerable with your social media, with video and things like that, just be a more open person to all that?
Definitely. So one thing that kind of helped, I think it's Brene Brown. I could be completely wrong. I think she has a book called Vulnerability or Vulnerability is Power or something like that. So that kind of helped. Being around other, obviously I'm a male, so being around other male figures who were okay being vulnerable. And then I was like, well, shoot, if they're okay being vulnerable and, they're still people who I like being around, then I was like, that kind of gives me an okay to be that way. And then also there's another guy kind of in the Charlotte area. His name is Rich Tomasini. He's with EXP. And he was talking about vulnerability and just all of those people together. I was like, man, there's definitely something to it because they're all on the right path. And I was like, if they're being vulnerable about it, I don't need to hold everything in that I'm trying to hold in. Maybe I can share my story and it might help someone else out.
And I was a lot like that. I actually read a book, Fear Hunters, which really helped me. But I've been coaching with John Cheplack for 5 years now, and that's been major for me. But I was the same way. Like like you said, secret agent. I would keep a lot of stuff inside. But once you start letting that stuff out, to me, it's it's like a breath of fresh air. You're like, I feel so much better. You talk to somebody about those things and you walk away, and for me, I feel so much better, and I've gotten better, better and better at doing that more so the last 4 or 5 years.
And to that point too, not to get like, super deep or super vulnerable, even though it's going to probably go off the deep end a little bit on this one, but it was interesting because I was having coffee with a friend. He'd came over and, got into real estate. And he was like, yeah, I got into real estate because of you. And he was like, something you didn't know was he was like, he was close to committing suicide or whatever, just because of his life before he got into real estate. And, he kind of told me his story. And honestly, it mirrored part of mine because him and I had a very similar story. I was kind of close to that as well before, I prayed to God and he introduced real estate to me and we got into that. So it just kind of reiterated that, like, man, you really need to get your story out there and you really need to do everything you can to succeed because you never know who's watching you from the sideline and them seeing you succeed, what that's doing to them. And maybe you are saving a life, maybe you're helping them in a better position or something. But it just made me think again, like, man, you really got to tell your story and get your story out there to people.
Absolutely. Yeah. You talked about that and told that story in one of your videos. And that's what got me. I watched a couple of your videos and I had, I only just met you through Preston. Preston's like, hey, we got to interview this guy. And I'm like, all right, let me, do a little Google searching and stuff like that, like I always do before we do a podcast episode. And I found your YouTube page, and I felt like after like 3 videos of you just being human, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like this guy's like super human, not
I
superhuman
appreciate
like Superman. Well, you might be, but I just meant like I connected to you in a sense of like this guy just like opened up in a way. Like I
Yeah.
said, I almost envy it because like I struggle with that. Preston and I talk about that all the time. Doing this podcast for he and I is somewhat uncomfortable in a way of like you don't grow unless you get uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
So like to me, I just thought you telling your story, it just inspired me to be more like that. So I appreciate you putting that stuff
Yeah,
out there that you put out
and
there.
that's, for me, it's I shared it. A lot of people ask me like, why I got out of construction, or why I got out of the mortgage business. And for me, it was, my love of real estate. I mean, real estate, the same thing, similar to me. Like real estate, I tell people saved my life. When I got in real estate in 2004, I was doing a lot of things before that if I continued on that path, I'd either be in jail or dead. I mean, a lot of the people that I grew up around ended up that way. So for me, it was getting away from the people I was around, and I got into real estate. And it's a similar, I don't know exactly your story, but my story is kind of similar to that, how I got into real estate, and why I love real estate so much.
Oh yeah. It's been a game changer for sure. Like it yeah, I mean, to your point, like I said, like I literally remember one day getting on my knees, just like crying out to God, like, Lord, if there's another avenue, please, let me see it. And then just right then, real estate hit my mind, and I was like, I'll give it a try. And it's been good ever since, man. I can't complain. It's changed my life for sure. Or been a resource to change my life.
And that's great too. You know what I love about hearing a story like yours, and I say that about my own story or Preston's as well. It's like think about all that stuff you did leading up to real estate, like working for Granger. You probably learned great sales skills. Working as a police officer, I know you learn great people skills, right? You're having to diffuse a lot of situations, a lot of high emotion situations. You probably weren't ready to be the realtor you are today if you would have chose that path at 20, right? But going through all that stuff, it's like I think God put you in that position, right? To go through those struggles, go through that stuff, go through those learning moments. And it probably made you the dad you are today, made you the realtor you are today, made you the business person you are today. Would you agree with that?
100%.
Yeah.
I think about that all the time, and I agree with you 100%. That's very true. Like everything that I've gone through, even to you're talking about high pressure situations. I have a bunch of friends who are in real estate now who were cops, and we talk about that all the time. Like, not in a negative way with any other realtors, but you'll be in negotiations and you'll see realtors like getting so upset and losing their mind because of X, Y, and Z. And we just talk about it between ourselves. We're like, no one's dying. So like, if you can keep calm, you can find a solution. But if you explode, get crazy, let your emotions take over, it's a lot harder to find a solution. And I feel like that's our job as realtors. Like we're professional, like, problem solvers. That's what we get paid the big bucks to do. If every real estate transaction went perfect, I wouldn't have a job. But since there's so many different things or problems that arise, that's why we get paid the big bucks to solve those problems.
Absolutely.
So with you're with EXP now, where you started in real estate, or where'd you start?
Oh yeah, started with Keller Williams. I was there for about 6 months, and then came over to EXP, and I've been here for about actually 2 years this month. Yeah.
Okay, good.
So it's
Joel,
been
what
good.
would you say would be, as a business person or even as a human person, what would you say would be the most influential book you've read, whether it be self-development, business, all that good stuff?
Oh man. I got a bunch of different ones, but I would say top 2 would probably be, well, sorry, I gotta do top 3. Compound Effect, Extreme Ownership, and As a Man Thinketh. But the top 1 would probably be As a Man Thinketh. The reason why I say that is because I have a friend who I used to see his life all the time. Good guy. He has like an investment property. He has a brick and mortar. He has an MLM. He has something else. I can't even remember. But I saw the life he lived, and I was like, hey, will you please be my mentor? Because he only works like 2 hours a day and hangs out with his family for the rest. And he was like, sure. And that was the first book he gave me, was As a Man Thinketh. And that helped turn my world around.
Outstanding. I've not read that, so that's going on my reading list. I have to check that
Fantastic.
out. Joel, if we're listening to this and we're in and around the Charlotte market or anywhere, and we want to find you or get a hold of you, what's the best way for us to do that?
Oh, yeah. Well, shoot, you can call or text me at 704-996-6496. Shoot me an email at joel.hargett, HARGETT @exprealty.com, or follow me on Instagram at familyman09.
All right. Joe, appreciate you being on the show today. And as always, we appreciate the people listening to this, taking your time to get a little bit better today and listen to our podcast. If you, whatever platform you're listening to this on, click like and subscribe. This is Travis McClure. Have a great day and a great rest of your week.